Hello everybody, my name is Timothy and I want to welcome you to the Chinese Civilization channel. And right now I'm still doing a video during Chinese New Year, so I'm going to talk about Chinese New Year once again. Chinese New Year is also known throughout the world as Lunar New Year. But do you know that the name Lunar New Year is technically incorrect? Yes, we've been using the name Lunar New Year for all along, and since small, I have also heard of the name Lunar New Year as the alternative name for Chinese New Year. But just this year, I begin to understand and I am able to verify through research that Lunar New Year is technically incorrect. But how is it incorrect? Well, we'll talk about it in this video. Today, many people refer to Chinese New Year as Lunar New Year. At first glance, this seems reasonable. After all, the date changes every year. It does not fall on January 1st. It appears to follow the phases of the moon. But here is the key question. Is Chinese New Year truly based on a purely lunar calendar? The answer is no. To understand why, we must step into the world of traditional Chinese timekeeping, a system that is far more sophisticated than many realize. A purely lunar calendar follows only the moon cycles. Each month begins with a new moon. 12 lunar months add up to about 354 days, roughly 11 days shorter than the solar year. If a calendar follows only the moon, it gradually drifts through the seasons. Over time, winter festivals would occur in autumn, spring festivals would shift into summer, the calendar would not stay aligned with agriculture. This happens in some parts of the world where strictly lunar calendars are used. But Chinese New Year does not drift freely through the seasons. It always falls between late January and mid-February. It always occurs around the beginning of spring in the traditional seasonal system. That consistency is not accidental. It reveals something important. The traditional Chinese calendar is not purely lunar, it is lunisolar. That distinction changes everything. So while it is understandable why people casually say Lunar New Year, doing so oversimplifies a calendar system that was carefully designed to harmonize both moon and sun. In this video, we will explore how the traditional calendar works, why it must align with the solar year, and why the term lunar does not fully capture the nature of this ancient festival. Because when we look closely at Chinese civilization, we often discover that things are more precise and more profound than they first appear. Let's examine the mechanics. The traditional Chinese calendar tracks months according to the moon. Each month begins on a new moon. That part is indeed lunar. But here lies the problem. 12 lunar months equal approximately 354 days. A solar year, the time it takes the Earth to orbit the Sun, is about 365 days. If nothing were done, the calendar would lose 11 days every year. In just 3 years, it would be off by more than a month. Ancient Chinese astronomers understood this very clearly. Agricultural society demanded seasonal accuracy. Planting and harvesting could not drift randomly across the year. So, a solution was developed, the insertion of a leap month. Every 2 or 3 years, an extra month is added to realign the lunar months with the solar year. This prevents seasonal drift. But there is an additional layer. The calendar is also structured around the 24 solar terms, the 24节气. These solar markers divide the year according to the sun's position along the ecliptic. They indicate seasonal transitions such as beginning of spring, grain rain, and winter solstice. These solar terms are essential for agriculture, and here is the crucial point. Chinese New Year is defined not merely by the moon but by its position relative to these solar markers. It must occur after the winter solstice and before certain spring solar terms. In other words, the sun governs the larger structure, the moon determines the month, the sun anchors the seasons. This dual system is why we call it lunisolar. So when someone says Lunar New Year, they are describing only half of the mechanism. It is like describing a clock by measuring only the minute hand. To better understand this distinction, let us consider what happens in a purely lunar system. In a strictly lunar calendar, months follow the moon without solar correction. Because lunar year is shorter, holidays move earlier each solar year. Over decades, the same festival can occur in entirely different seasons. But Chinese New Year does not behave this way. It remains tied to late winter, always approaching the arrival of spring. It does not migrate into autumn or summer over generations. This stability is proof of solar regulation. Traditional Chinese civilization was agrarian at its core. The calendar was not designed merely for ritual, it was designed for survival. Rice cultivation, wheat planting, seasonal labor cycles all require accurate solar alignment. The 24 solar terms ensured that farmers across vast territories could coordinate agricultural activity. The New Year, therefore, could not be detached from the sun. It marked not only the beginning of a new lunar cycle, but the renewal of seasonal life. When we call it Lunar New Year, we unintentionally remove the solar dimension that made the calendar functional for thousands of years. The moon gives rhythm, the sun gives structure. Chinese timekeeping harmonize both. And that harmony reflects a broader philosophical principle within Chinese civilization, the balancing of complementary forces. It was never one without the other. Why does this distinction matter? Some may argue that Lunar New Year is simply a convenient term, language evolves, usage changes. That is true, but precision matters when discussing civilizational history. The traditional Chinese calendar represents centuries of astronomical observation. God astronomers were tasked with maintaining its accuracy. Calendar reform was a matter of political legitimacy. A dynasty that failed to regulate time symbolically failed to regulate heaven and earth. Timekeeping was governance. The New Year was therefore not merely festive, it was cosmological. By labeling the festival purely lunar, we unintentionally flatten that complexity. We reduce a carefully calibrated astronomical system into something simpler than it truly is. This is not about rejecting inclusivity or denying that other cultures celebrate their own New Years based on different systems. It is simply about describing the Chinese calendar accurately. The term lunisolar may sound technical, but it captures the truth of the system. It acknowledges that the moon sets the months and the sun preserves the seasons. Understanding this deepens our appreciation for how sophisticated early Chinese astronomy was long before modern telescopes or satellites. When we study these systems carefully, we see not superstition but science embedded within tradition. Names matter. They shape how we understand history. Chinese New Year is ancient. Its roots stretch back more than 3 millennia. It has survived dynastic change, political reform, modernization, and globalization. Throughout that long history, its date was calculated through a lunisolar system that ensured harmony between heaven cycles and earthly life. To call it purely lunar is not entirely wrong, but it is not fully correct. It captures the visible surface, but not the underlying framework. And perhaps this reflects a broader lesson. Civilizations are often more complex than the labels we assign to them. The deeper we look, the more we discover systems of thought, observation, and adaptation that reveal intellectual rigor. The traditional calendar is one such example. It reminds us that ancient societies were not primitive, they were observant, analytical, and deeply concerned with aligning human life with cosmic order. So when we speak of Chinese New Year, let us remember it follows the moon, but it is anchored by the sun. It is not merely lunar, it is lunisolar. So if you found this exploration helpful, please give this video a like. It helps the channel reach more viewers who are interested in Chinese culture and history. And if you'd like to join me to continue exploring the depth and sophistication of Chinese civilization, do subscribe to the Chinese Civilization channel. Thank you for watching, and as I sign off, may I wish you a new year guided by both light and rhythm.